Hello, everyone, and welcome to the No Shave November 4th, 2015 episode of Balls Deep Sports Talk with me, your host, Scotty Ball. Thank you for tuning in, however you are tuning in. Now, over the course of the last several weeks, the last several months, the show has been expanding, and we are now available on many platforms, and because of that, we're trying the show here in a little bit different of a way tonight. We're recording the show Wednesday night like we always do here, but as opposed to airing it then late Wednesday night after it is all done on WNLMradio.com, we are simply waiting to do that until Thursday evening this week, and that way we can do it earlier in the evening around 7 or 8 o'clock. We can get the show on the air for you. Seemed to work out really good with listeners last week, so we're going to do that again here this weekend. We might continue to do that down the road. We will see how it goes, what you guys think, and gals, hopefully. But do not fret if you need your balls deep fix. If you just can't wait to go balls deep until Thursday evening, well, you can still access it and enjoy the show immediately after I'm done recording it via my personal favorite, the free Spreaker app. You can also enjoy it on SoundCloud and on YouTube immediately. The TuneIn app, it is also available on that. However, I believe that is linked to the station, so that won't be immediate or instant, I believe, but I might have to double check on that and get back to you. And since we're talking about all the ways and all the days and all the times that Balls Deep is brought to you, and that you have the opportunity to go balls deep, and where you can do that, because you can't just go balls deep everywhere, unfortunately. Stinking laws. But also every Saturday, beginning at noon and then running until approximately 7 or 8 p.m., is your weekly Balls Deep Marathon on WNLMradio.com. That's right, the show has gotten so big that we have a weekly show marathon every Saturday starting at noon. You're sitting there, you're watching your college football games for the day. You crank up WNLMradio.com on whatever internet-connected device you choose, and you turn down the volume on the TV, you watch all the football games, you listen to me talk about sports, and it's heaven. So, well, maybe not quite heaven, but it's fairly enjoyable sometimes, maybe. Worth a try, at least. So, wanted to remind you guys of that as well. And to keep up to date, if you need extra reminding on things like that, I highly recommend following the show on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @BDSTshow. Fairly sensible, right? Or if you're more a Facebook type of person, you can friend me and like me. Simply search Scotty-Ball. Both of those social media forms will have all of your links, all of your up-to-date show info, changes, what have you. Also, great way to be in contact with me. Let me know what you think about what we're talking about here on the show. Speaking of that, I do have to express just a little bit of disappointment. I'm going to pull in Nick Saban here to start the show. I'm going to express a little bit of disappointment in my current fan base. I did not receive any hate mail whatsoever for my take on Jerry Kill's retirement last week, and comparing him, directly correlating him actually, to a heroin addict. And I was very disappointed that I didn't get any hate mail or anyone saying, yeah, you're totally right, like that. Yeah, the addict thing makes perfect sense. Maybe you thought that, you just didn't reach out. Again, @BDST Show on Twitter, Scotty-Ball on Facebook. All right, well, let's get to some sports. Enough show plugs here to start out. And what are we going to be talking about on the show tonight? Well, if you're a regular listener, you would know that we are an all-encompassing show. We are 100% equality here. We give equal attention and enthusiasm to everything that is going on in the sports world, at least that I'm aware of, and that seems semi-relevant. This week, as always, there is no shortage of topics and events and stories taking place in the sports world. So let's go over some that we'll be discussing. As always, we'll be talking plenty of NFL as well as college football. We'll be recapping all the NFL games from last week, including our Viking segment, which I apologize won't be quite as detailed as usual, but it'll still be good. I promise. But more on that when we get to it. But we'll also be previewing. You'll be getting my picks for this week's upcoming games. I had another above 500 performance yet again, per the usual, on picking winners and losers last week. And I had, I think, what is my perfect 8 of 8, or maybe I had 1 week where I blew it. But when I'm picking against the spread, I'm under 500 every week. I'm terrible at it. So if you're the type of person who does bet on the spread, you probably want to listen to my picks. Take everyone I pick, bet the opposite. You'll probably win some money. You'd be up a substantial amount so far this year. But again, more on that when we get to the football segment, as well as more big-time NFL season-ending injuries to big names, coaches being fired, and trades taking place. Actually, a trade or two worth noting here at the NFL trade deadline. Also, like I mentioned, college football. We had the Gophers coming off of a very emotional, for an inarguable word, a very emotional week following the sudden retirement due to health reasons of their head coach, Jerry Kill. Interim coach, I think his name is Glaze or Craves or Glaze or Glazed Donuts. Something like that. Rhymes with maize. But so he took over facing the mighty 15th ranked Michigan. I felt that under normal circumstances, the way they had been playing, they would have gotten killed. However, I did say last week on the show that I felt they would play inspired, overachieving football, and did they ever? But they were not able to pull it off in the closing seconds of the game with a chance to win or tie, because sometimes when you win, you actually lose, and sometimes when you lose, you actually win. Sometimes when you win or lose, you actually tie. I don't know. White men can't jump, something like that, Rosie Perez. Anyway, you will get my, brief take on the current state of the Minnesota Gophers, as well as a recap and preview of last week's and this week's college football games. We already had one this week last night, and it actually turned out to be an entertaining doozy of a whopper. But again, more on that when we get to the college football segment. We'll also be talking Major League Baseball, as we have a champion for the season, the Kansas City Royals. They beat the New York Mets in 5 games on Sunday night, capping off what was, as I mentioned to you on last week's show, the biggest day of the year in American sports, because we had on Sunday all 4 major sports having games taking place. We had NHL hockey, NBA basketball, NFL football, of course, as well as Major League Baseball. That was the one and only time in the calendar year of 2015 that was possible to happen, and it required the Mets winning at least one game to force a Game 5, which they did. Thank you, Mets. But so we'll go over that a little bit. Congratulations to the Kansas City Royals and their fans. First time since 1985. Long time underdog, lovable loser. Happy for them. Again, more on that later. As well as some hiring and firing going around Major League Baseball, and a few key free agent names to keep an eye on already going into the offseason. We will be discussing some NBA basketball, the current state of the T-Wolves, who should be 3-0, but they are in fact 2-1, still fairly good. So you'll be getting my take on the T-Wolves, as well as we'll be going around the league just a little bit, since there's only about 4 or 5 games played from each team. But we got an idea, so we'll be touching on that. We also got NHL hockey to discuss, maybe your Minnesota Wild, as well as going around the league, some big league news, primarily regarding rookie superstar sensation Connor McDavid, not to be confused with UFC fighting superstar Conor McGregor. But so we got that as well, hockey. We got NASCAR, as their season is very near an end. The winner of their Cup Series will be determined here very soon. Be getting you up to speed. I know you were waiting for that if you're a regular listener on that. We might touch in real quick on some Louisville basketball shenanigans, or if there's anything else going on in the college basketball world, as their season will be getting underway very, very soon. Possibly get you up to speed on WWE activities as well, storylines, pay-per-view plans moving forward, what have you. Then again, nothing too big there either. We might end up leaving wrestling out tonight. I don't know. We'll see. And then also possibly be having a quickie on UFC 193, which will be coming up 2 Saturdays from this week, and that is why it will just be a quickie, because next week you will get a much bigger preview take on UFC 193. Okay, so that is the general outline for what we have coming up here on the show tonight for topics. Again, you're listening to Balls Deep Sports Talk with me, your host, Scotty Ball. Thanks for tuning in, whether it's on WNLMradio.com or the Spreaker app or the TuneIn app or SoundCloud or YouTube. And follow the show on Twitter at BDST Show. Like and friend me on Facebook, Scotty-Ball. All right. Well, again, my Balls Deep Army, my weekly Balls Deep goers know that it is now time for our opening segment here on the show, which our hit opening segment. Excuse me, how could I forget? Here on the show, there's, one of the things that put us on the map. If you're playing the Balls Deep drinking game at home, get your beverage ready in hand. It is time for, say it with me, Balls on Fire. Yay! Orange Crush. Just a classic. Can't go wrong with it. All right. So, what has got me, Scotty Ball, the most fired up, the most heated up, the most on fire this week? Could definitely be the World Series, right? I mean, it's a championship. I definitely tend to give priority to championships here on the show, regardless of sport. So that's definitely a big candidate. We got the Vikings winning 2 division road games in a row, combined with the Packers losing to the Broncos on Sunday night to make my and possibly your Minnesota Vikings just 1 game behind the Packers for first place in the NFC North. So, definitely a little fired up about that. But I don't know if we go that route. Gophers, man, if I was a little bit bigger of a Gophers fan, or if I had the opportunity to actually sit and watch the Gophers game in its entirety on Saturday, I probably would be starting with that heartbreaking loss that they suffered to Michigan on Saturday. They lost by 3 points. They had the ball down at the half-inch yard line with like 19 seconds to go, and then everybody just instantly got hit by the Stum Ray. Stum, yes, that's right, I said Stum, S-T-U-M-B. That is our Balls Deep trademarked word here on the show for when something is just so stupid and so dumb that it's stupid dumb. We call it Stum. But again, I don't think that you can blame it just on the coaching staff, as people here did for the most part. Everything I gathered, like I said, it seemed like everyone associated with the Gophers just, instantly got hit by the stun ray and were all doing everything within their power to choke. But again, I'm not emotionally invested